Welcome everybody to the slope of Anior with a very significant Lila Stali Govindakund right behind us. It was amongst Srila Prabhupada's very first instructions given for New Vrindavan. We honor the high places as Gobardan Hill. The lakes is Radhakund and Shomakund. And the appearance of Gobardan goes way back in history, to a time when the earth was overburdened by the unnecessary defense force of militant Kshatriyas who were not behaving according to the Dharma. And Bhumi was so aggrieved, she approached Lord Brahma who took her, along with the demigods, to Kiradakshaya Vishnu. And they actually, in this particular kalpa, were able to arrive on Svetadvip and have direct darshan of Kiradakshaya Vishnu, who told Brahma and the aggrieved demigods that the situation on the earth at this time is so grievous that only the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, can rectify the situation. So they boarded a jeweled boat, spiraled upstream in a cascading river, which was Viraja, descending from the Karna ocean through the hole made by Lord Vamana's toe. They crossed the Karna ocean, proceeded through a blinding effulgence emanated by Shesh, holding Golok, and they approached Radha and Krishna. And Krishna told the Devas that I will descend. And then Radha became very aggrieved. She said, if you go, how can I live without you? He said, well, you'll surely come with me. And she said, how can I be happy in a world bereft? The shade of Govardhan, the flow of Jamuna, and the forest of Vrindavan. And Krishna told her, just look down. And gazing to the earth below, she saw Govardhan Hill, Vrindavan Forest, and Jamuna River, setting the stage for the appearance of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Nevertheless, Govardhan undergoes many phases of appearing and reappearing, being lifted, first by Pulasya Muni, who found Govardhan in the west, wanted him to take him to Kashi for his bhajan kutir. And Govardhan flying through the air on the hand of Pulasya Muni, when he saw Braj, his eternal home, he became so heavy that the sage had to put him down and he couldn't lift him again. Later, Hanumanji, scouting various lands for boulders and mountain peaks suitable for Lord Ram's bridge to Lanka, was enchanted by the beauty of Govardhan. And he thought he would make a beautiful ornament on the bridge. So he lifted Govardhan. And then he heard conchos blowing from Sri Lanka, announcing that the bridge is completed, the battle's beginning. And Hanuman, rushing to Lord Ram's aid, dropped Govardhan. And Govardhan was so upset. He told Hanuman, how could you do that? Just drop me as you were taking me to the Lord's service. And Hanuman came down and prayed to Govardhan, who are you? Clearly a very special servant of the Lord. I will tell him about you. And he did. And Lord Ram said, in my next major avatar as Sri Krishna, Govardhan will be my playground. Hanuman flew back and told Govardhan he was very happy. More recently, on the last day of Kartik, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived in Vrindavan, as he approached Govardhan, he embraced one of the Shilas. Mahaprabhu, at this time Lord Gauranga, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, saying that Govardhan Shila is Krishna, embracing him with great love. And he sang that famous verse, of all devotees, Govardhan Hill is the best. All my friends, this hill provides Krishna and Balaram with all their necessities, water for drinking, very soft grass, caves, fruits, flowers, and vegetables. In this way, Govardhan Hill offers his respects to the Lord. Being blessed by the touch of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and Balaram, Govardhan Hill appears very jubilant, as he does today. That verse echoes the song Srimati Radharani composed in her room at Yavat with her friends. That's why it begins, "Oh my friends." They were all feeling the anguish of separation from Krishna. And to keep from crying, Srimati could only chant the Hare Krishna mantra to console herself. And by the inspiration of the Maha Mantra, a great hope emerged from her heart. And she asked her friends, like a dwarf, trying to cross the ocean without a suitable vessel, how can we attain the shelter of Sri Krishna without the intercession of his great devotees? So amongst the great devotees, who is the best? Amongst those worthy of the epithet Haridas, Prahlad, Dhruva, King Janak, Uddhava, Maharaj Yudhisthira. So who is the best and most capable of fulfilling our desires to meet with Lord Krishna? And then Srimati answered the question herself in the same verse, echoed in the words of Mahaprabhu. Of all devotees, Govardhan is Haridas Varya, the best of all servants. And like Mahaprabhu, he is both the Lord and the servant, the best servant of the Lord. The psychology of gopis is explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, seeing Govardhan as an ally to their cause in seeking his shelter. When Srimati Radharani sang that verse in motion, far in the distance, where Govardhan was actually not visible to her moon tower in Yavat, and yet he was right there outside the window. Was it because he came to give his darshan to his yearning servants? Yes. More so, he came for the darshan of Srimati Radharani. So with Govardhan right outside the window of her moon tower, she discussed amongst her friends how Govardhan qualifies as Haridas Varya, the best of all devotees. And consider word by word, verse by verse. Of all devotees, Govardhan hill is the best. Oh, my friends, this hill provides Krishna and Balaram and all their companions with very soft grass. That grass is Govardhan's hair standing in ecstasy at the thrill of being touched at the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram. That grass, revered throughout all the worlds, the sun god in his chariot makes a detour from his orbit to graze his horses on the peaks of Govardhan, where the grass is so sweet, nutritious, and succulent, and watered by the cow's milk, bathed in the sunshine, makes the most flavorful and nutritious grass for Krishna's cows. This hill provides Krishna and Balaram with all necessary water for drinking. The many waterfalls cascading from the peaks of Govardhan are actually his tears of ecstasy, flowing from the love of his heart. And as they descend and gather into pools, they pick up the nectar emanating from different flowers and trees, which flow forth as mango juice and other nectarian drinks, merging with the water of the streams and rivers of Govardhan. And when the gopas drink that water, they become intoxicated with love for Krishna. Water for drinking, very soft grass. Caves. Now this is the gopis speaking. They can't publicly, in a socially acceptable manner, meet with Krishna. So Govardhan provides many caves, foremost of whom Manikandali, the residence of Raghavacharya, who is Champaklata and Brajlila, and very knowledgeable of Gobardan Parikrama. those caves, they're not like caves of this world. They're kind of dark, dank, and dreary. These caves are luminous with effulgent jewels. And those jewels serve as sitting places and beds for which they become very soft, warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and give the gopis who, by the very strict social conventions of Braj, cannot meet with Krishna, they have all facilities in the caves of Gobardan. Water for drinking, very soft grass caves, fruits, flowers. Those flowers are his thrill bumps in the ecstasy of being touched by Krishna's lotus feet. And his stones melt to the touch of Krishna's feet, leaving his footprints. In this way, Gobardan Hill offers respects to the Lord. So seeing Govardhan as an ally to their cause, the gopis are beseeching his intercession to help them to meet with Krishna. From a very practical perspective relevant to sadhakas, the Indra Yagya represents the utilitarian principle, which is a good thing, normally. It means mutual cooperation amongst those in society for the well-being and safety of the population. And that's a good thing. Srila Prabhupada so much emphasized cooperation. It ceased to be a good thing when Indra became proud, which is the root of all anarthas, false pride. So, Krishna is very specific in the way he addressed Nanda Maharaj. Why is everybody just running around mindlessly preparing for this ceremony to worship Indra? Is this sanctioned in scripture, or is this a social custom? And Nanda at first was thinking that Krishna can't understand the intricacies of this Indra Yagya. But when Krishna began to speak and refute the belief that they needed to worship Indra for rain, which is necessary for their flocks and their lives, I mean, his logic was impeccable. He even preached karma mimamsa, mayavad, of whom. But the main factor was the Brajavasis love Krishna so much, ultimately they'll just do whatever he says. And even if, for the sake of serving him, they have to neglect their social and domestic duties, which could result in the end of the world, which it nearly did, as the pastime unfolded, the devotees are bound to one law, ultimately, which is spiritual love. And for the sake of their love for Krishna, they will forfeit all other obligations, if need be. So Krishna, he took charge. He said, you've already arranged everything to worship Indra. Just use all the paraphernalia to worship Govardhan, because same thing that Srimati expressed in her prayer. He is the one who provides all our necessities. So, and then Krishna, he took charge. He directed how to worship Govardhan, as we just did. decorate the cows, feed them well, keeping them in front, circumambulate the hill. And then they offered the grand feast to Gobardan, according to Krishna's instructions, with many smaller, like foothills, to Gobardan, hills of ladus, rasgullas, gulabjamins, kunds, even manasaganga, filled with sweet rice, and other kunds filled with condensed milk and yogurt. And they just offered the whole edible landscape to Krishna, to Gobardan Hill. And what did he say? Anior, Anior. And then Krishna said, listen, he's speaking to us through this voice resounding from the sky. And then just to remove any last trace of doubt, Krishna expanded himself into a much larger form of himself, seated on top of Gobardan Hill, and with his long arms and huge hands, he reached out and he devoured all the hills of rice with ghee flowing down the slopes of these hills, looking like Mount Sumeru glistening in the sunshine. And in an instant, he just devoured everything. All the hills of Boga were leveled, all the kunds were dried, and he just kept saying, Anior, Anior. And then Krishna, little Krishna, praying to the big Krishna, who is Gobardan Hill, pleaded with him, my Lord, we have offered everything we have to you. We're simple gopas. What more can we give? He still wasn't satisfied. Anior, Anior, give me more, which is Bengali. Gobardan was speaking Bengali. Anior, Anior. And everyone was baffled, except one wise Brahmana who understood Gobardan's mood. He took one tulsi leaf and offered him to Gobardan, and tiptosmin, which means now I am fully satisfied. So various cultures, religions, traditions have their respective holy mountains. Mount Meru, Mount Kailash, Mount Moriah, Mount Sinai, Mount Olympus, where they believe that gods either reside and or interact with humans in those elevated places. Krishna himself considers, and those, it's archetypal, the worship of mountains, because they're seen as pivotal points around which the beliefs, the faith, the rituals of various cultures, religions, and traditions evolve. Gobardan Hill was chosen for that function by Krishna himself. So, Gobardan Hill is actually a long ridge with 108 peaks, which Anior is very famous and prominent. And on the slope, or at the foot of Anior, is this kund, which is in the process of manifesting. That's why it's not yet full. Govinda Kund. And right now, we are gathered at the site of Madhavendra Puri's Baitak, where he sat for 3 days, wrapped in deep meditation, fasting the whole while, until until that charming little Gopa came to him and asked him, what kind of meditation are you practicing? And why are you fasting? This is Vrindaban. Nobody fasts here. The ladies were concerned, and they gave me this pot of milk to bring to you. So, please, take to your full satisfaction. I'll come back later to pick up the pot. Goodbye. And just disappeared. And Madhavendra Puri's heart was filled with wonder. He'd been fasting. He hadn't been sleeping for 3 days and nights. At the end of that night, after drinking that milk, he fell into a slumber in which the same boy came back to him, took him by the hand, and said, I have been suffering, exposed to the elements here since my priest ran away. I was originally installed by Bhadra, Krishna's great grandson, worshipped for generations. When the Mughals attacked, the priest, in fear for his life, ran away, leaving me in this bush where I've been suffering scorching heat, torrential rain, bitter cold, just waiting all this while. When will Madhavendra Puri come to serve me? Then he woke up. He got the villagers and told them that Giridhari is hiding in the bushes. We must find him. And they were all so enthused by his devotion. They followed the path revealed in his dream, and there they found Gopalnath Ki Jai. And according to Gopal's instructions to Madhavendra Puri, built him a temple on top of Gobardan Hill. So Madhavendra Puri, the very seed of the root of ecstatic love in the Madhva Sampradaya, before whom, in the line of Brahma, through Madhvacharya, the worship had become dreadfully ritualistic. Hardly a trace of ecstatic love. And no element of Madhurya, what to speak of the ecstatic rasa vipralamba seva. That was all revived in seed form by Madhavendra Puri, imbibed by Ishwara Puri, to whom Lord Chaitanya gave the credit for receiving himself, although he is the source of that Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So, Govindakund is the container which held all the ingredients from the Abhishek when Brahma performed Abhishek of Krishna, at which time Indra, because you know, the 7 days and nights when all the Brijabasis were sheltered under the hill, it was like 7 moments of ecstasy. Because every devotee in every ras saw Krishna looking directly at me. And they weren't proud. They were thinking all these other devotees are so much better. But Krishna is interacting with me personally. And by his sidelong glance extending to all the sadhus in the various caves and the Bandevis who live on the slopes of Govardhan, and everyone was basking while the entire universe from Swarga on down was immersed in such dense darkness you literally couldn't see your hand in front of your face. When Krishna lifted the hill, the Brijavasis saw a vast valley with wide fields filled with barley, which made the cows delighted, and beautiful new residences for everybody. But they didn't stay in their residences. They all stayed gathered around Krishna. And as the storm ensued outside the hill, there was another storm of loving emotions underneath. And Mother Yashoda was so disturbed. Gopal, how can you just stand there holding that mountain on the little finger of your left hand? You must be tired. And Krishna said, no, I've never had so much fun in my life. It's not strenuous. Govardhan's like my toy, and he's flying effortlessly on his own accord in the air. And then Madhumanga, the famous comedian of Braj, said, Mother Yashoda, you're concerned for nothing. It's actually my brahminical powers and mystical mantras that are holding Govardhan on the hill, in the air. But not everyone believed this, so the cowherd men took their sticks, and they all held their sticks up to support the hill. Said, okay, now Krishna, you can take prasadam. But then when he started to lower his hand and the sticks all began to bend, everybody called out, no, Krishna, please protect us, save us. So then, with his hands free, he was about to play his flute. And at that point, Madhumanga, who had been making jokes all along, which really aggravated Mother Yashoda, this is no joking matter. Gopal hasn't eaten. He must be hungry. He's working so hard. But then seeing he's about to play his flute, Madhumanga panicked. Krishna, don't play your flute. Because the effects of your flute makes stones melt, makes rivers petrified. And if this mountain melts, we're all going to be finished. Meanwhile, even though the universe was cast into deep, dense darkness, everyone in the universe felt such a surge of joy, with one exception only. Indra developed such a terrible headache. And then, when the peak of Govardhan rose above the cloud bank, rising above the Parijata tree line of Indra's palace, he went into a rage. And on his elephant, Airavata, spurring him into fury to charge and finish off Krishna and all the Brijavasis. And Krishna, just with a slight gesture of his hand, stopped him in midair. Airavata, in his furious rage with Indra spurring him on, was paralyzed in midair, trying to run, but hovering like a toy. And the gopis, seeing this, they couldn't help but giggle. And that infuriated and humiliated Indra all the more. And finally he realized, I've committed a terrible offense. So the various holy places, and especially the kunds surrounding Anior, Govinda Kund is very prominent, where the Abhishek was performed, led by Brahma. And everything needed for the grand ceremony just spontaneously appeared. Garuda spread his wings as a canopy over the altar. The sacred mountains manifest as stands for the Arctic paraphernalia. Sudarshan Chakra expanded in many lamps. And Brahma, and then all these sacred mantras appeared appeared as personalities. And one personality that nobody knew or had ever seen before, Brahma explained, he's the Gopal mantra, by which one develops ecstatic love for Krishna. And everyone came forward, Brahma, Shiva, Indra, to offer their respects. Bhumi offered gifts from the earth. Bandevis offered gifts from nature. And then, gradually, when all the devas left, and the little gopas came home talking about, did you see that person with 4 heads? Did you see that talking cow? Did you see that elephant with 4 tusks? You know, normally you don't see elephants in Braj showering Krishna with Ganges water. And the gopas picked up all the celestial paraphernalia left behind by the devas and took them home as toys. And everyone was so jubilant, but Indra, realizing unprecedented offense, not only trying to kill Krishna, everyone and everything near and dear to Krishna. So he approached Krishna because, you know, after he realized the gravity of his offense, he went to his guru, Brihaspati, and said, how can I atone? Brihaspati said, I have no idea how anybody could atone for such an offense. And even if you commit suicide, it's still going to stay with you. This is over my head. Better ask Brahma. So Indra went to Brahma. And Brahma said, I don't know of any atonement for an offense like this. But Indra kept begging over and over until Brahma took compassion and had an idea. Because during the Abhishek, which filled Govindakund with all the nectars, Indra coronated Abhiram, Gopal Krishna, who is, he said, O Gopal, you have been glorified forever as Abhiram, most charming. I confer upon you the title Govinda, which means obviously the protector who gives pleasure to the cows, the land, and the senses. But there was another meaning intended by Indra, because all the demigods live within the body of the cow. Indra coronating Gopal as Govinda testified that you are the real Indra of everyone, including the demigods. And so then Brahma told Indra that yes, Krishna is so fond of his cows. If you take shelter of a cow and she intercedes on your behalf, then you may achieve Krishna's forgiveness. So at Surabhi couldn't get to manifest over there. Surabhi approached Krishna. When he was just walking around, you know, after he set the hill down, examining the effects of the flood, and then Surabhi approached, and she told Krishna that there's somebody hiding behind me. He's so ashamed to even show his face before you, but actually he's a nice boy. And then when Indra descended from his mountain of pride, and with Surabhi nudging him forward, come take shelter of his lotus feet. And Krishna told him that it was out of my love for you that I thwarted your sacrifice. Krishna didn't object when for generations the Brijavasis were worshipping Indra. It was only when it went to his head he became proud. So Krishna told him, it was my favor to you to free you of that false pride, which I cannot tolerate seeing in my servants. So go back to heaven and enjoy your service, but don't succumb to false pride. So Indra went back to his heavenly planets, and Surabhi stayed behind, and she pleaded, O Govinda, I have come with this Indra, but from now on, since your name is Govinda, will you be my Indra? And Krishna showered his favor upon her. And so this is Govindaka, or Madhavendra Puri, established the worship of Giridhari, Gopalnathji, on Gobardan Hill. But since the Gaudiyas will not tread on Gobardan Hill, and we don't go inside the inner Parikrama path, that's the part reserved for not placing your feet. Madhavendra Puri, at the end of his Leela, departing this world, uttered a verse which only 3 people can understand the depth of the feeling, the bhav, love. It was originally spoken by Srimati Radharani in the anguish of separation when Krishna had just left from Mathura, and all of Braj was wilting away. She sang in deep emotion, Ai Dina Dayadanatahe, O my Lord, most merciful Master, Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Bereft of your darshan, my aggrieved heart is becoming delirious. What shall I do now? Those same words of Srimati Radharani resounded as the last verse Madhavendra Puri uttered as he departed this world. And when Lord Chaitanya told the story of Madhavendra Puri, as he had heard it from Ishwara Puri, Lord Chaitanya narrated at Kirachora Gopinath's temple. And when Mahaprabhu concluded the story with that verse, he became so overwhelmed with ecstasy, he just started running frantically. Ai Dina Dayadanatahe. He said, is there anyone so fortunate as Madhavendra Puri? 3 times in dreams, Krishna appeared to him. In that verse, Kaviraj Goswami explains, as how do you describe it? Like a kastuba is the best of all gems. This verse is the finest of all mellow poetry. It's like that Malaya sandalwood that the more you grind it, the more its fragrance expands. Originally spoken by Srimati Radharani in the heights of Vipralamba Bhav. Inaugurated the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Whose worshipable mountain, seen as the pivotal center of their faith, their hopes, their beliefs, their rituals, is Giri Gobardan Ki Jai. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? So many devotees have contributed to making Giriraj obviously, visibly, very ecstatic today. I'm reluctant to list the names because it's extensive and we're running late, and in fear of omitting anybody, we would just express our gratitude to all devotees who contributed to making. Because what does Giriraj do? He brings everyone together. And when we come together, united and cooperative, he is pleased, we are satisfied, and Srila Prabhupada's final desire for Govardhan Hill can be fulfilled through his descendants. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi.